read the stimulus material, I noticed how the graph in U.S. millennials more likely to support censoring offensive statements about minorities mentioned statistics from democratic countries, but communist countries were never mentioned. This made me think about how the citizens of communist countries, specifically China, felt about their censorship. In addition, I Am Very Real discusses high schoolers and the negative effects censorship has on their lives. This made me wonder how high schoolers feel about their internet. All this made me question how the controlled internet affects the stress and negative emotions of high school students. Based on research conducted by the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, excess stress is known to be a major cause for suicidal thoughts and actions. This led me to ponder to what extent does censorship impact high school-age suicides in China. Because of their use of the widely censored internet, high school students in China are consistently at a high risk for attempting suicide. China uses their local and national government to limit the information that the general public can view. Oftentimes, China makes websites act as mouthpieces for the party line to advocate for the Communist Party of China on issues such as education, according to Chao Chiang, professor at UC Berkeley researching the censorship of Chinese internet and public opinion on social media. This means that the info that most of the public can get is often biased or unreachable altogether. This causes misinformation, which is an environmental stressor. This leads to extreme emotions and suicide, according to a peer-reviewed periodical by the American Journal for Public Health. For example, according to Chao Chiang, on the 20th anniversary of the Tiananmen Square massacre, the government temporarily shut down countless websites including Facebook, Twitter, and Wikipedia, ostensibly for technical maintenance, because the government believed people would most likely post mournful and revolutionary ideas. This led to environmental stresses for mourning families caused by the unwillingness of the government to listen to public concerns. As an attempt to relieve the stress, some people considered taking their own lives. Many people, especially teens with their underdeveloped brains, this seems to be the best plan of action as it eliminates all stress permanently. Children around the high school age tend to see this as their strongest option and they take the leap. In addition, censorship can influence teens to take their own lives. Due to pre-existing academic pressures, high schoolers already are the most likely Chinese citizens to commit suicide. According to Song Ziqi, director of Nanjing University Center of Medical Health and Research, the majority of extreme psychological problems in teens are caused by unexpected rebukes from teachers. Teachers often lead students to feel inadequate, and the parents rely on their kids to overachieve to get an acceptance letter to their highly competitive colleges. According to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, an organization devoted to educating the public on suicide, hopelessness, lack of social support, and a sense of isolation are main risk factors that make a person more likely to consider suicide. When combined with the effects caused by strong internet censorship, teens easily become overwhelmed and take extreme actions. This makes high school students more prone to suicidal thoughts and actions and often leads to death. Furthermore, censorship to a small degree is beneficial to decreasing the number of high school suicides. In a peer-reviewed article by Luxton, June, and Farrell, they mention the idea that proactively using social media to increase public awareness of and education on mental health issues is a logical, modern health approach that can potentially save lives. If all pages with the word suicide were censored as China's internet does, citizens would not be allowed to read articles on suicide prevention and anonymously find help. With the slight censorship of the internet while allowing citizens to access to assistance websites, suicides can be largely prevented. If the internet was not censored at all, people could join groups to find encouragement for self-harm and even form cyber-suicide pacts with strangers to kill themselves simultaneously. Full exposure of the internet is not the best option for governments because it allows for the coordination of more suicides. China's solution of severely censoring the internet doesn't help eliminate suicides, but instead it fosters the idea of isolation and increases the number of suicides because students feel like they cannot reach out for help. One potential method to reduce the impact censorship has on Chinese high school students is to use a specialized police force to prevent the suicides. According to an article by the World Health Organization, an agency of the UN concerned with international public health, suicide is treated sympathetically if it is done for the family, community, country, or in response to a chronic physical illness or to redeem oneself from disgrace. This implies that many countries dignify suicide. Making attempting suicide illegal would allow police to intervene during the attempts. However, this method has severe limitations as an average of 20.8 citizens per year for every 100,000 people commit suicide. This doesn't even account for the survivors. In China's population of 1.3 billion, authorities would have to charge 270,000 people per day per year, meaning 740 people per day. This is difficult for a highly trained and specialized police force. However, China doesn't even have a way currently to enforce this new idea. According to Anat Boutreau from the World Health Organization, police are only involved in a small percentage of cases where homicide is suspected. This means that no police force is previously trained to prevent the suicides, and it would take much longer than is practical for new forces to be trained and organized well enough to make a significant impact towards addressing the issue of high school suicides. Another potential solution to decrease the effects of internet censorship on the number of high school student suicides is to just decrease the censorship. Similar to a study done by Luxton, June, Farrell, and the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline, China can just properly censor the material. This means that the media would be advised to write articles in a presentative manner, for example, report on suicide as a public health issue, not a crime, in order to give help and promote knowledge of suicide instead of eliminating all the media coverage. An implication of this would be that the desire for suicide would be significantly lessened for those most at risk. Lightening the restrictions on websites in China is likely to be a beneficial plan of action in order to lower the impact of internet censorship on high school suicides in China.